are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Well, troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops that swell. You'll find me.
I came out at 19 and the legal age then was 21, so you were illegal really, so you had to be very careful what you did.
And I was around on the gay scene, nearly 50 years ago.
I came out when I was about 30, but I've always known I was gay.
I've been gay basically my whole life. I came out when I was 17, 18.
Probably looking back, for as long as I can remember, I've been gay.
Been dressing since I was about 10, 15 years old.
I came out from the CHE in 1978. I thought I was the only one.
Hi, I'm Jo Miller. I'm the Chief Executive of Doncaster Council, and what an honour and a privilege it is to be introducing 50 years on Pride, which shows how far we've come as a country, but my goodness, we know we've still got some way to go. I can't wait to hear the stories of amazing Doncaster men and women and how they came out and how they've dealt with their lives, because it is the mark of a civilised society by how well we treat all of our people, not just a certain section of them. So this film really matters. It matters to the individuals, it matters to Doncaster, and it matters for our future. So Doncaster Council really supports it. I'm looking forward to celebrating with all of you Pride this weekend, the first Pride in South Yorkshire, a Pride that typically gets 12,000 people plus attending every year. So let's march and be proud and enjoy everybody's stories.
I have been out for a few years now, but it did take me a lot of years to come out. It wasn't until the passing of my father that I did decide that it was time that I wasn't going to hide who I was and who I wanted to be. So once I knew that everything was okay and things had settled down, I then decided to come out. But only to my friends and work colleagues, not to the family. It was a few years later that I did come out to the family after the passing of my mum, because at the time I didn't feel like she could handle the stress of me coming out to her.
When I was in the forces, different story. I was actually discharged dishonourably for being gay.
So from about 5 years old, before you know anything about anything, I was making me Barbie's kiss and stuff like that. So I suppose looking back, a lot of things make sense now. When I was about 13 at school, one of my best friends, I tried it on with her when she was staying over at my house one time, and I was really lucky in that she never told anybody.
And my first outing was at Manchester. So really, it was really nice and daunting, but it was really good to get out. And from then, just got easier and easier to go out on my own or with friends who I know. And eventually, things got to the point that I needed more and more to going to see doctors. But so I went on the gender list for some time, but eventually didn't need to go on it because I'd met someone that I was happy with. But that lasted 7 years, a little relationship between me and another girl, another transgendered girl, I should say.
It was really funny. When I came out, I decided I wouldn't tell my dad. My mum died many years ago, and my dad was in his late 80s at the time. And I don't think anybody wanted to tell him, bless him. So he became a little bit ill, and he went into hospital. And I went to visit him, and he said, "Lad, haven't you got something to tell me?" And he was 94 at the time. I said, "What do you mean, Dad, have I got something to tell you?" He said, "Haven't you got something to tell me?" I said, "You mean that I'm gay?" He went, "Yeah." He said, "Why didn't you tell me?" I said, "Well, didn't you guess, Dad?" And he said, "No, not really." And I said, "Well, I didn't tell you because I thought I didn't want to worry you at your age. I thought I didn't want to give you any more stress and everything like that." And he said, "Well, I would have been fine with it, as I'm fine now. And I'm really glad we got this sorted, and so am I, because 5 days later he died." And that was just amazing to know that at last my dad knew, and that meant a lot and still does.
I went to work at the NHS, worked with a woman, and she kept telling me about everybody. Oh, they're gay, they're this, they're that. And I thought, I'm going to have to tell her, because otherwise she's going to get to a stage thinking, oh my God, what did I say to her? So when she said it, I said, "Oh, I'm gay." And she said, "No, you're not." Yeah, I am." "No, you're not." "Yeah, I am." She said, "Yes, but you talk about all those boys that you've been out with." I said, "Well, I was married, but my last 2 partners were actually transgendered, female to male transgendered." And she went, "No, stop. I don't want to know that."
I've had a hugely supportive family. When I came out, my parents are divorced. My dad is remarried. My dad was amazing about it. My mum, she had some concerns about the kids and would they get bullied, but those concerns I had myself anyway.
I was going through moments where I was dressing up, playing with, dolls, makeup, you name it, I was doing it all. And I had so many people call me every single name under the sun. And yes, it was horrible, but then you grow up and realise maybe that's what I am, maybe it's not, I don't know.
You are far more relaxed with being gay than I am.
Well, I wouldn't even say that, because when I was a teenager, like in 90s, so I think it was on the cusp, just coming out to 80s, and it would gain more accepted, but it weren't as it is now. I mean, now it like kids nowadays, I mean, it's brilliant for them, really.
I suppose it took me longer to accept it than my family. And coming out, I neshed it. I wrote a text message out, beautiful technology that we have these days, and I pressed send to all my close relatives, because all my friends knew I were openly out, and I pressed send and then turned my phone off. Went out, got blind drunk, and then turned my phone on the next day to loads of text messages saying how supportive they are of me and everything like that. It was just me in my head. You build everything up in your own head, and you make matters worse for yourself. Whereas I think if I'd have just spoke about it from get-go, then I think things would have been a lot easier on my part.
in the army, they had a special investigation branch who used to basically witch hunt the gay people. They'd invade your space, they'd go through your wardrobes, your lockers and everything. They'd read all your posts, you know, just to find out if you were gay. And if it was like it made you feel like how you see documentaries on TV about being in prison. You know, you weren't allowed your own privacy or whatever. So, but when they did find proof of you being gay, which they did with me, they found it in a couple of letters that I'd got. I was dishonourably discharged, sort of 6 years later. The actual army records now say service is no longer required.
I saw my brother's music paper, and there were little things saying gay switchboard. So I actually phoned them up. And a guy who wrote for Gay Times lived in my village, and they're part of the CHE campaign for homosexual equality. And they got in touch with him.
Did he really?
Yeah, and it was wonderful. And so he took me to meetings for CHE meetings, and he introduced me to people, and then he took me out. Never anything dodgy, it was just like friendship and the guidance. It was wonderful.
I was nearly 20 when I came out to my parents, but it was a bit of a forcing out really, because up to sort of a couple of weeks before, I was engaged to be married, and decided through an experience I had with one of the clients from work, not a great deal went off, but it just made me realise that I didn't know which camp I was in. So I decided not to go through with the marriage. I couldn't do it until I realised, you know, which side of the fence I was playing. So within a couple of weeks, I'd finished with my fiancée, and I was sort of seeing a guy, and it was when this guy came up and met me outside the house. And the following day, my parents, particularly my dad, took me to one side and asked me what's happening here, because sort of everything's gone a bit, you know, sort of pear-shaped. And he said, what's happening, because you've got this lad meeting you now, and he's very, very posh and what have you. And he said, you know, if you carry on like this, people are going to start talking about you. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, they'll think you're one of these pufter guys that are around. And I said, well, what happens if I am? And he just said, well, are you? And I said, well, I might be, I don't know yet. So that's when it all went a little very pear-shaped to home, and my dad just gave me a week to get out.
Hi, I'm Callum. I'm one of the other owners of the Hall Cross. My story is quite a lot different to Craig's. I've quite a different experience. Going through school, it was just your average school basically. There was bullying, but it wasn't anything to do with the way I was. I didn't come out till I left school. I left Doncaster because we moved away. I then came out to mum by text. Text obviously saying that I was gay, but I don't want to talk about it. When I got in the car, the first thing she said to me was, why didn't you tell me, and do you want a pair of heels? When I got home, I said I was quite understanding. My dad was understanding, but not what could you say? He didn't say well done or anything like that. He just said that's fine, and that was the end of it. We don't really speak about it. My nan, she loves it.
So tried to tell my family about it, but were brushed off. No, you're lying. It's a phase. This didn't happen. You don't know what you're saying. You're mixed up. So again, I went away and just left it. Just never said anything. I never met anybody that I wanted to bring home to meet him anyway. So just carried on, and then met Bev. And I thought, now's the time I'm really going to have to push this and tell people. But when I eventually come round and told my parents, they actually knew already, didn't they? Yeah. And it were hugs all round, and everything were okay. So I were really lucky that obviously I must have planted a seed before, and they knew and were all right with it. Told me Nan, 80-odd-year-old Nan, she loves it, thinks it's great, and loves you, doesn't she? So we're all okay now. Yeah.
I can't say it was easy because I was feminine. I'd got long blonde hair down to there. My voice gives me away. It wasn't easy. I remember being on the bus as a young man, and I'm a twin, and we didn't really know what we were. We didn't want to feel it was wrong. We just felt we were artistic and theatrical. But people would say, you know, I asked for, I remember, a bus fare, 9p, please, to wherever. And two women on the front heard my voice, and one of them said, oh, I know there are a lot of queers in Stainforth. And people were like, it's trampled all over your feelings. But I have to say that if I talk to youngsters these days, I say never feel ashamed of or feel second class because of what you are, because we're in hallowed company, and this is what kept me going when I was young. Terence Rattigan, Oscar Wilde, Noel Coward, Tennessee Williams, all the wonderful people in the arts. And I had to kind of hold on to that when I was young.
Growing up in the 80s, I was your typical tomboy. I wouldn't wear dresses. I played for a rugby team, played for a football team, and I looked like a boy. I wanted to be in Bros. And yeah, I really thought I wanted to be a boy. Obviously, growing up, I don't. I'm a bit confused, and from a young age, I think all my family knew it were inevitable, which how I was going to live my life.
Got to the point I couldn't get any further with transitioning fully because of my mum and dad. They're not supporting me at all, and they just don't want to know about Diane. And I got discharged again last year, and I'm just living my life how I feel I want to do it.
No, it was just a person that I happened to love who happened to be a woman. It was no different for me than being with a man, I suppose. And then I've carried on. But as I said, I've had the last two partners I've had have been transgendered. So I've mixed within the transgendered community. One was a serving police officer. She was the first trans woman, if you like, to come out while in service. That went down really well, actually. Now she lives in Canada. She's married, they've adopted a son, and as far as he's concerned, that's it. He's trans, he's a male. And the other one is totally different. He's all up for trans rights and started a group in Sheffield for trans people, moved down, married somebody now, a female, and was working for Trans Bear All. But it's all around the fact that they are trans, whereas the other man, should I say, they've transitioned and that's it, they're a man now.
I think if you look at Doncaster and how things have changed over the last 11 years, this will be the 11th Pride this year, I think times have changed. I think Doncaster is probably no different to anywhere else. I think the visibility that we give to the gay community is something that is very, very important. We've got a long way to go. Not just Doncaster, but the UK and obviously Europe, parts of Europe, and particularly, you know, areas where homosexuality is still illegal or people are persecuted for their sexuality.
It's a lot easier now than what it was a few years ago. A lot easier. I mean, you still get abuse now and again. Coming out, that were all right. Not at school. at school, because one of my friends came out and she got quite a lot of stick for it, I wasn't willing to put myself in that situation. When I come out to my parents, they were absolutely fine about it. My mum was like, oh, I already knew. Cheers. Could have told me.
I think it's a lot easier for gay women to walk hand in hand and it's more accepted than gay men. I think gay men would have more homophobic gestures or verbal abuse towards them than us. I think a lot of people find lesbians quite erotic, whereas they find men a really big turn off. So
I, luckily enough, had some people I knew over the road from where I worked, and I got a bed sit there within a few days. But the next night when I came home from work, my dad more or less bungled me into the car and said, you're going to the doctors. And I said, what are we going to the doctors for? And he said, you're going to be cured. Which is, hilarious really when you think of it. But off we went, marched down to the doctors, and into the doctor's room we went, and the doctor said, what can we do? And my father said, my son's one of these queer blokes. I want him sorting out and cured.
I love listening to your stories because if it weren't for you, Darryl, everybody else, I wouldn't have been accepted for who I am now. And that's in the 90s. So you can imagine what you've done. You've been, you know what I mean? You've done a lot for us in the 90s to get how we were. Now...
It is changed because that was in 1978 when I contacted CHE. So, and
I asked you, I said, what is CHE?
Campaign for Homosexual Equality. And they were lovely people.
I do miss meeting up though. I do miss meeting up because you was all my family, all of you. When I came out, I was only 18 years old.
Growing up in Doncaster, I mean, I'm from a small mining village where you do get a lot of prejudice there against gay people. But most of my time was spent in Doncaster. There used to be a pub there called the Underground, which was just a doorway. When you went down into it on a weekend, one side of it was blocked off and you had to go basically through the gents' toilets to get to it, and there was like a bouncer on the door. But it was just bizarre. I felt very daunted when the very first time I went in. You'd get extremes of women, some dressed in three-piece suits with the partners or girlfriends would be really, really feminine. And I couldn't sort out how I was supposed to fit into that. I couldn't see myself wearing a three-piece suit, but then I couldn't see myself wearing a dress. So, I mean, I just dress casually. I always have done. I've not changed that. But it was very, very daunting.
I've got to stress, first of all, how important the pub was, the Underground in Bowersfold, to all of us. It was an oasis in the wilderness and a focal point, something to look forward to go to at night. And, of course, you could break out into a bit of camp there where you couldn't in ordinary pubs.
In most gay bars, they were segregated.
It was like that, wasn't it?
They didn't mix at all, did they? But we did in Doncaster. It was completely different.
To be fair, we were completely different, weren't we? We weren't having none of that.
No, we were...
We're from Donny.
Yeah, we were strange bunch, weren't we? And then, obviously, when the Palace came, before I took over that, women weren't allowed in the Palace.
No, you had to be accompanied, that's right.
So when I was offered that job, I said there was no way that I was applying for a licence and trying to fight for a 2 o'clock finish, which I got.
Yes, which you got, didn't you?
I said there's no way that I'm barring lesbians or gay women, whatever they want to be. Whatever.
But I as a person that frequented that, I loved that Palace. I loved the Palace because A, it was a nightclub, and B, it was like being in your front room. You know, like just sitting here.
Yeah, it was just fantastic.
It was big open fire, and disco.
It's like, I just keep myself to myself. I always have done. I go to work, pay my bills. That's pretty much it. And when I come out, I'm out with there's a group of us, or several groups. I float, so there's different groups, but I know a lot of people. So we do pretty much end up here. We used to go to the old gay bar, which was Crystal's.
I don't know whether we did ourselves any favours really, because at the end of the day, first of all, people weren't quite accepted in straight pubs.
Yeah.
So we all went to gay pubs, didn't we? We'd go Sheffield,
that's right.
Wakefield. We'd all have nights out.
Nights out, Barnsley.
We had great nights out. And but there is none of that anymore. You know, people, you tend to find people are now going to straight bars, straight clubs. So the gay people now, there's no gay scene.
That scene as such.
There's no like closeness like we had.
Like we had.
There were hundreds of us, weren't there?
Absolutely.
And we were like that. We were so close knit.
Yeah.
You know, we'd help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all knew each other.
Yeah.
It was difficult because of people. And you saw, when we were in the underground and the society club, which, as I've said, it was like it was heavenly. You saw people like the lead singer of The Sweet and Mark Bolan and Bowie and people like that. So you knew it was there, but it wasn't within your reach in a place like Doncaster. But it was, you were aware of it, that you were somehow connected with that sort of theatricality.
Tell you what was nice, you know, when we used to, especially on a night like this, you know, when we used to have that stage outside.
Oh yeah.
I loved that, didn't you? I thought it was brilliant. It was different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we thought we were part of something special.
Oh, we were.
Yeah, too right.
It was special. I mean, we fought for the campaign for homosexual equality.
Yeah,
didn't we?
CHE, that's right. We were there then, weren't we?
Over 3, 4, sometimes 5,000 people used to be there.
Yeah.
So it was,
and like we were just saying, as I said, I remember that time me and you got scrapping.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You had a bit of a fight.
I think we were outside a chip shop and all.
We had a bit of a scrap.
And you probably got last bag of chips. Yeah, I can't remember what it were. But following week, somebody were having a go at you.
Yeah,
and I went
that
straight
were in the pub.
Yeah, and I went straight in and went, whoa, you don't be eating it.
Yeah, we used to protect each other, didn't we?
They could get a bit difficult, gay queens as we call them, when they got middle-aged and perhaps they were lonely. And you didn't cross them. There were two I'm thinking of now, I'm not going to mention any names. You didn't cross them when they'd had a drink. And one time in the underground, a youngish man went down and passed himself off as a doctor. Said he was a doctor working at the Royal Infirmary. And these two middle-aged ones happened to be at the hospital a week or two later and came across him painting the wall. He was the painter and decorator. And they both sallied past and chorused, "Morning, doctor."
I think it's very important to have gay bars in Doncaster. The majority of people are quite happy going to ordinary bars because most bars are gay friendly. But some people are uncomfortable with that and feel they can't be themselves unless they're in a gay environment. Personally myself, it doesn't worry me at all. I'm gay. It's not an issue. If people don't like me being gay, they don't have to speak to me. But yeah, I think it is important to have a gay bar in Doncaster. There's never been, in the last sort of 10, 15 years, there's never really been a good gay bar in Doncaster. Back in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, there was maybe a couple, but the main bulk of the gay scene was Leeds or Sheffield.
Right, my name's KY. I've worked at the Hall Cross now for 2 years, but I've worked in Doncaster for the past 5 or 6 years now, and it's one of the best jobs that I've ever had because it lets me be who I am and who I aspire to be. Somebody that loves to entertain people, to make people laugh, and that's not just the hostessing side, but the cabaret side I also do as well.
There's quite a lot of difference between us and the old gay bars in Doncaster. not only do we just provide a safe place for the LGBT community, we're quite inclusive of all. It's not just a gay bar that people imagine and see on pictures. There's a lot of entertainment that goes off, quite a lot of stuff really. So we've got drag queens, singers, dancers. We've had all sorts really, hen nights, stag do's, you name it, it's been in the bar.
If anyone wants to know, I'm gay.
Yeah.
And I'll say it, and I won't hide anymore. And before I wouldn't talk about that
Oh,
side.
I am proud.
But now
I
I am.
Same as you. We are proud.
It always fascinated me when I was young that the older queens, we used to call them, used to refer to the people in their day when they were young. And they all had camp names going back really way back to the 50s, 40s and 50s. And the first one I remember somebody talking about was a man who was called Graveyard Nell. But when I was there, some from Sheffield, I remember, were called Rotherham Pole, Conisbrough Kate, Miss Pepper, Darnell Lil, I remember meeting. And I always found it fascinating that these men were professionals and somebody's son and somebody's uncle. And they were never known by Dave or Ian or whatever. They were known as, well, we had an Auntie Maud here, who was an architect, I remember. There was a Doris, a Connie, an Edith, a Bag Alice, a Retford Rita, a Miss Grimsby, and an Auntie Daisy. And my favourite of all, and I've just been told on the phone by a friend when I told him I was doing this, I think she must have worked, or he must have worked in the abattoir, because she was called, or he was called, Shit Cart Clara. And I find it very, very amusing.
We were the first to inquire at the Register Office in Doncaster about how to go about doing the civil partnership. And when we went in there, the registrar and staff knew nothing about the procedure. They had no information whatsoever, so they told us to contact the mayor, which we did in June 05. From there, we got some lovely replies back from the mayor. We wanted to do our civil partnership in May 2006. We were the first to inquire about it and get it in place at the Registrar Office, but there were people who did it before us, because I think it was legal from December 05. The staff were absolutely brilliant with us, and we wanted to do it because it takes so long to plan one of these events to get everything in place, which we did. Once we got the partnership booked, we came up to Mount Pleasant in Doncaster and did it, organised it with them. And we were the first in Mount Pleasant to organise a civil partnership, so they were very, very enthusiastic with us and wonderful. The staff were brilliant.
Everyone has been really, really nice. The registrars, they were kind of bickering between each other who wanted to actually come and do the ceremony for us. Everyone at Mount Pleasant, they were really excited because they'd never had a civil partnership there before. So they were really excited for us to be the first and just up for anything, weren't they?
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant.
Why should we be degraded and people think differently of us? Why should people put us down because we're gay?
I think now we're having gay pride has changed the attitudes a lot in Doncaster. I think it's brilliant, gay pride.
We can deliver a pride on a lot less than some of the other guys that are delivering fabulous prides up and down the country. But Doncaster's not about that. What we want is it to have a real community feel. We want everybody to be welcome. We want everybody to feel like they can come along with their mates, with their family, with their straight friends or whatever. And everybody can be a part of it.
Without sounding too nasty, I think straight people have got a lot more festivals that they can go to. You know, we know that everybody can go to them festivals, but if a gay couple or a lesbian couple go to these festivals and they're kissing, it is still frowned upon. A lot of them, where at Prides, they can show that affection, that love that they've got for each other and for everybody else. Because that's what it is about. It is about everybody else.
What does it mean to be gay in Doncaster? For me, it doesn't mean anything, to be honest. because I'm me. It doesn't matter whether I'm gay or I'm straight or what I am. Whether I'm in Doncaster or wherever I am, I'm me. And I've always said, you know, we don't all get on, we don't all like each other, but don't like me because I'm gay. Don't dislike me because I'm gay. Don't like me because I'm from Doncaster or dislike me because of that. So being gay in Doncaster for me is, I never really thought about it. No. I'm just me.
Yeah. No, I'm exactly the same. It's just nice to be you. And I think the nice thing is in this day and age, you know, people say, oh, are you gay? And you go, yeah, I am. And you are proud of that. And the reaction now goes, oh, right, I thought you were. And, but it just, and I don't know why people think that. But it's just the way, it's just nice to be you and just live the life you want to live. You don't have to worry and don't put yourself, you know, there aren't the situations that there used to be out there anymore.
So being a gay man in Doncaster is, I'd say personally, like being a straight man in Doncaster, because like I've said to quite a lot of my friends and my family, equality and solidarity doesn't affect you until it affects you, if that makes sense. So when you've received verbal or physical threats or verbal or physical assault, it's never going to become apparent to you until it's happened. So me, myself, I believe that it would be just being like being a straight male, but instead I'm not, because I've never received anything like verbally, physically or anything.
I am who I am, that is it. I know that's like really gay.
My ultimate goal would be to live full time as Diane.
Just be yourself. Yeah. Just follow your heart. Just be yourself. You know, there's no greater feeling than actually being yourself. The weight that came off my shoulders afterwards,
yeah, definitely,
were unreal. So and to live a long time with all that torment.
It was very, very important. And now at this age, I look back and I'd like to go back for just one more drink and one more night with all those people in the underground. But of course, it's been boarded up for many years. It was wonderful.
Somewhere over the rainbow way, up high in the land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me.